Hey guys, we're deleting my first little intro there, guys. Probably a half hour. This is going to be disassembly of the Pratt Whitney Model B 12 by 30 lathe, part 5, and we'll be taking the external gears, is what I call them, the rear gears off the back of the lathe, and I don't think there's another panel that can come off, and there's some gears back there that have to do with the reverse feed on the auto feed. And then I want to go open up the apron and take a look inside there. You know, Chris Simpson of the channel, Chris Simpson, asked me a question in a comment. You know, why are you doing this? He was there when I did it the first time. He's a very talented woodworker, has a very, very nice, very well-equipped shop. He's very talented. He contacted me. He had recently purchased a Pratt Whitney lathe very similar to mine, and of course he had a few basic questions and trying to find manuals, and so that's how I met him. And so he asked me why I'm doing this. Okay, there's inside the headstock, there's a shifting fork that shifts from the forward feed to reverse feed. Underneath that shaft, there's 2 set screws that I failed to tighten up the last time I had this thing apart. Also, because of the difficulty I was having lowering the headstock down and getting it in the line, it wasn't directly over where it went. You had to push the thing out, with your hands while you were lowering it, and the lower it got, the more force you had to use to push it out, and your hands it was very difficult to get that thing down in place. And at some point, I don't know if that contributed to it or if it was just me fiddling around afterwards, I lost the modification that I made to the oiling system, which brought oil to the top of the headstock and oiled all those back gears on that main shaft. It was like that when it was broken when I received the lathe, and I broke it a little more when I took the lathe off, because once again, as that thing was coming up, I'm pushing it, trying to keep it going up straight, and it came back, and the copper line busted off going down to the bottom of the headstock. And so I replaced that with a rubber tube, and that became dislodged at some point during the reassembly. So that needs to be corrected. The 2 set screws need to be taken care of, and the drive dog in the forward gear could be advanced 25 to 30, 40, 50 thousandths. Give it a little, there's room for more contact between the two, them striking them to the 2 mating surfaces. Right now it's working just fine. It doesn't do it. It's nothing like the old ones where it was just constantly clanging and slipping out of gear. I haven't had any problems with that issue, but if I could advance that drive dog, we'll call it, it's going to give it better, better contact, and it may not make any difference at all. It may make the repair last, considerably longer. Okay, so that's, and then there's the shaft that engages the cross feed. In all my efforts to get that freed up while it was still on the lathe, and once I got the apron off, that became damaged and bent, and I had to take some material off of the diameter as well. And it's still not perfectly straight. It's much better than it was, but it really needs to be redone. And I'd also like to redo my my cross slide lead screw and nut. So that's the why I'm taking it apart again. So let's get to it. Dog just jumped up on me. That's Peaches. Yeah, Peaches just took a leak on the pee pad. Good girl. Good girl. So here we go. We have a working machine here. All ready. Okay. I call these the, can't call them the back gears because they're not the back gears. I'm going to engage my back gear to keep these shafts from turning. These are all pretty loose. We probably will take that off and just take a peek in there. So I need my power screwdriver. Here it is. Impact driver. I love these things. So there's a 5/8 or 3/4 inch. Okay. So there's, actually I made that washer. There's we'll put that nut right back on there. And that gear has 2 keys. Okay, we're gonna wait and adjust the what do they call that piece down there that ties all the gears together? It'll come to me. So anyway, the square drive, 15mm closed in, that's fine there. Let me bring that back. This is a homemade, I guess, a C-clip, and there's two cuts in the side of that shaft, and that goes on there, and that holds on this alternative gear, which is just riding along. It is not being engaged. It has a single key, and it is for doing pipe thread. So 11.5 threads per inch. Banjo. I'll get this off once well, I might not have to wait for the banjo. I just need to get rid of this gear. Okay, so I'm going to take the gear off from up here. And I'm going to put this back here for right now. There is a So that's what that looks like there. It locks in, there's a bushing in there, and there's a spacer and the key. And let me say that gear rides right on top of this gear. Okay, let's get that back there. Now this can come off. There goes a key. There's one. And there's 2 keys for that. And I will put those back here. with the gear. And now we got this one. I think this is where that 11.5, that special gear for threading would go. Okay, let's get this back on here before we lose track of where that goes. Okay, when I got this lathe, that extra gear was just floating down here in the I think it was actually laying on this in the skid, but it was loose. It was attached and it was floating around. Furthermore, when I got this lathe, this spacer here was on the inside of this gear, which made it possible to use all 4 gears in the gear train. And then, you know, I started, I didn't understand anything about the thread, the speeds and the threads and feeds chart. And I would put in 12 threads per inch and I would get 17 threads per inch. And I'm going to put this on there just to capture that key, keep it from getting lost. So I was getting, instead of 10 threads per inch, I was getting 18 or whatever it was. And I took some pictures of the gear train and sent it out. DJ Faber-Coblin, Fame, informed me what I needed to do to get the proper gear train going, and that was it was a big scare for me. It was because everybody's talking about how many teeth are in the gear train, and I gotta move in just a minute. When everybody started talking about shit that involved, mathematics and whatnot, and I size is that? That's at least one of these sizes. And it felt like it was getting over my head. But I think it came down to, dude, look at the pictures of your lathe in the catalog and the books, and you'll see that there's only three gears in play. In that 4th gear, there's a broken washer. So get that on my list of things to make, a new washer for that. I think I might have a new washer for that. So that's going to go back. Okay. I'm going to get this banjo off. Okay, this is the back of, I should have a shaft somewhere for this. I think that's right, that goes there. So let's go ahead and put that back. I can probably leave that there and take that off. That'll just come off with the gearbox. So to free up the gearbox, I am going to need to take this plate off. So, boy, these screws here are all just finger tight. Okay, do I have all my, you know what? This actually goes there. This goes here. No, it doesn't. Well, it can't go there. Okay, we'll figure that out. Where does this go? It's right there. So there's holding one gear, there's holding the other gear, and there's holding the third gear. And in my hand are these screws. Okay, back on track. So basically there's a shifter in here. It needs to be released before I can remove the gearbox. So I'm gonna go find my soft blow and work on getting this cover off. Okay. I'm sure there are some guide pins to help place this. Okay. Okay, this can that can come off. Oh, where'd that come from? Okay. Now there is a. That's good. Okay, this is time to get I think what I need to do, I remember first time I unscrewed this and brought this out, I think I can, okay, maybe this is something that I should have took everything apart before I started filming. And then came back. For length of video's sake, just eating into the time we have for the apron. Then the apron will probably be a 2-video affair. Yeah, I'm thinking if I can just loosen this fork up, I can get it disengaged here. There we go. As predicted, there's the shifting dog. Okay, let's get you back up here. Get this back in here. See, this is something I can do later. I'll screw that back in there when we are off camera. So this is working like this, I guess, and it is moving this in and out, and this, if I can get it out, is if I can get this out. There we go. No, that is not the gear I thought it was. Okay. Okay. Shall we say that it's come back to me and I don't need to mess with that at all? These two kind of have to come off together, and this I just literally have to pull that out. There we go. So let's go with number 2. We did the bottom gear. We'll call this the middle gear. We'll call this the top gear. Okay, this has the striking plate, contact plate for the reverse dog to hit. So the reverse dog grabs that and turns it. And I'll get inside here and give you a look at said reverse gear. I need to lose these gloves. I need to wipe the oil off of this button. So that is the drive dog that I replaced on this gear, and that is for reverse. And I just showed you the mating surface for that. So figured that would be interesting. Okay, here we are at the apron. Okay. I removed 6 screws, 2, 4 little longer screws here. And this is connected to the clutch rod. So that's, I'm going to lift all that off, and this is going, the clutch rod's going to come off with it. So already got it kind of freed up from the journals. Let me just set that over here. Okay, this is the feed clutch. This is the cross-side clutch. So I'm going to reach under here and activate this feed clutch. And what's going to happen is on the wrong one. Okay, this is the feed clutch, left or right. So there we are, turning freely. I'm going to tighten the knob on the outside here on the crank, and it's going to pull this down into that gear, the cone. And now it is on this gear. This is the feed rod. There's a gear here and a gear here. Now this is pulled down and that brass gear is engaged with the feed gear. I'm going to pull it out. This comes up and everything turns. And it's the same thing here, but I don't have quite the travel. Okay, so that's engaged, and this is pulling it out, so I'm not getting as much travel here. And this goes all the way through to my clutch knob. So I need to increase that. I need to increase that screw's travel. And this shaft needs to be replaced. Okay, that's all we're going to do with the apron tonight. This is already long enough. And here's, let's demonstrate the half nut, I guess. Here's a half nut. Engaged, disengaged, engaged, disengaged. And back of this has this rod here, which activates in the threading mode. Not sure exactly what it does, but it's there for us to talk about. I'm assuming you can see that. Okay, that's going to take care of part 5, the disassembly. And I won't review what we did, but we did what we did. Now, one thing that I realized I made a mistake when I was breaking everything down, I took the chuck off. And the first time I removed this, I ended up putting the chuck back on. I needed it for balance. So we'll probably be putting the chuck back on. Alright, that's it for number 5. It'll be getting interesting from here on out. It's all interesting, isn't it? Okay guys, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. My apron here is Walter the White Van on Instagram. Walter the White Van has provided me with a GoPro 4 and this dandy apron. It's made out of that duck canvas or something that's kind of impregnated with whatever. Very durable. Need to wear it more often to protect my clothes. Alright guys, like and subscribe, tell a buddy, and bring a friend. Other project is new lead screw for the cross feed and new nut.